to another episode of The Loading Zone. May the freedoms we enjoy today translate into financial and economical freedoms as well. For those of you watching this for the first time, my name is Rabaune Nameng, your financial advisor's financial advisor. Quick disclaimer, these videos do not constitute financial advice and should therefore not be seen or treated as such. For adequate advice, please seek the counsel of a registered financial advisor or hit me up in my professional capacity. Contrary to popular belief, consulting with the financial advisor is actually free, so you really have no reason why you're not seeing one. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we've reached the final episode of our 6-part episode on asset classes. If you're joining us for the first time, we've already discussed 5 different asset classes over the past couple of weeks. Where have you been? Check those episodes out in order for you to get a holistic understanding of what it is that we actually referring to when we're discussing asset classes. It would be to your benefit. I'd like to apologize in advance for the low resolution on some of them. We've since cleared out the technical issues, but we're not trying to win a soft out here. Just a quick recap on the asset classes that we've already discussed already. We've touched on cash, we've spoken about bonds, we've also spoken about commodities, equities, and property as well. And this week we'll be talking about alternatives as the final asset class. So what are alternatives? Well, the clue is in the name, really. Alternatives are out-of-the-box investments. When I first started discussing asset classes, I mentioned that some people would group the different types of asset classes into 3 or 4. Like, for example, commodities and properties to some people are regarded as alternative asset class. In essence, alternatives are unconventional methods of investing. They're often not regulated and promise a greater return than your conventional methods of investing or your typical asset class. Operative word be promise. With that said, it is vital that one fully understands what they are investing in when you're playing into alternatives. Typically, alternatives are not liquid in form. They also carry different types of tax implications. Some are not even taxed at all, and you generally have a long-term outlook when you're investing in alternatives. So let's dive into the different kinds of alternatives that are out there. This is a niche market filled with hardcore, obsessed people about a particular item or market. Collectibles are things that people collect and have placed a high value on these particular items than what they were originally worth. They may also be considered as hobbies as well. These items include art, wine, coins, toys, stamps, antiques, vintage cars, comic books, etc. I mean, like I recently saw an ad of a kusheshe selling for R1 million. Seriously, I really couldn't fathom, because this car's R1 million and it's like as old as I am. But they do go for these prices sometimes, and there is a serious market out there for such. Does it even have an echo or Bluetooth? The thing about collectibles is that they actually hold a sentimental value to the person buying it, and not necessarily a value that is based on any other thing except sentiment. I mean, let's take paintings for example. A painter can paint 3 different pieces of, let's say, a bridge, for instance, using 3 different angles of this bridge and sell it at 3 completely different prices. Collectibles can be tricky, but one can really make a killing if they're doing it right. The general rule is that one should invest in things that they are passionate about, things they understand fully, in industries that they are familiar and know a lot about. When we spoke about property, I touched a little bit on flipping property. Now, did you know that there are people out there who are actually website flippers? So what this entails is that someone sees a website that has potential to be bigger and greater, but it's not quite there yet. They buy this website and transform it or upgrade it to be this great thing and sell it at a profit. One could argue that this is like investing in equities, and I guess they're right in a sense, but the key difference here is the element of flipping. Now, it goes without saying that having some form of an IT background in this space would benefit you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't make money in the space if you don't have it. Just be careful when going into the space. Like an example I've made before, remember Mixit, remember MySpace. This is actually not complicated. It's actually quite common than we are often led to believe. Basically, you just borrowing somebody money to inject money into their business. Instead of me knowing someone personally who wants to start a business and doesn't have the capital, there's actually platforms where lenders and borrowers are able to meet. Here, I'm actually not buying a stake in the business. I'm merely borrowing this individual or company money and getting this money back after a predetermined time at a predetermined amount on top as well. In the tendering world, this is quite common where people have actually secured a tender but don't necessarily have the funds to do so and go to these kind of institutions to borrow money. But there's a little bit of trouble when you're going into these kind of investments. Think of it this way. If a business owner goes into these platforms to borrow money, it means that they were unable to actually secure this kind of funding with your traditional forms of getting funding, like going to a bank, for instance. This could mean that you as an investor could lose your money, or that the person would default on payments. This is a very hot topic at the moment because it's filled with a whole lot of scammers. I actually want to do a full video on this because people are misled out there and they tend to believe this works in a particular way when it doesn't. Currencies are basically means of exchange. We basically use a currency to place value to goods and services. In South Africa, we use rands. In Botswana, they use pulas, and in America, they use the American dollar. So when one invests in currencies, they're basically taking a rand, buying a dollar, and hoping that this dollar would increase in value when they transfer it back into rands. It's really that simple. For example, I buy a dollar at 2 rand for the dollar, and I'm hoping that by the time I want to move back my dollars into rand, the dollar is now worth 3 rands. So I would have made an extra rand for this particular transaction. Hey, this is just an example, eh? The dollar exchange is like 13 rand something to a dollar. There are many factors that will influence how this will change, and it fluctuates all the time. Politics being the biggest reason, as well as other economic factors as well. You can lose a lot playing in the currency market. You can also gain a lot playing in the currency market as well. There are many ways that people play in the currency market, but we'll touch on this in a separate episode in more detail. For now, baby steps. Within currencies, there's also a new phenomenon called cryptocurrencies, which has taken the world and investment environment by storm over the past couple of years. Cryptocurrencies are basically digital currencies. Essentially, the idea behind cryptocurrencies is that instead of me paying with the rand to buy a TV, I can buy the TV with this cryptocurrency. So there's a couple of cryptocurrencies out there, Bitcoin being the most popular one. It's important to note that cryptocurrencies are not regulated, and that is why someone can just wake up one day and declare themselves a crypto guru of some sort. So this really deserves a full episode in more detail, maybe even a 3 to 4 part, because it gets a little tricky. NFTs, short for non-fungible tokens. These are basically digital collectibles. This is a fairly new concept out, but to give you context, a meme went viral of a 4-year-old a while ago. This was a picture of a 4-year-old girl who was smiling at the camera, and in the background, a house was actually burning down. Lots of people liked it, and people created a whole bunch of memes about it, and it was a big deal. Recently, the NFT of this particular meme was sold for 500,000 American dollars. That's like, about more than 6.5 million rand. A picture, 6.5 million rand. This picture was taken with the phone, guys. And I know you probably don't believe me, so go Google Disaster Girl NFT. Just check it out and yay! So we yet to learn how far NFTs can go as investments, but they're essentially intellectual properties, if I may, in a digital format, in a digital era, I guess. Anyway, this brings us to the end of our episode, and also the end of our 6-part on asset classes. I really hope I haven't left anything out. Next week, I'm gonna tie all these asset classes together, where we're gonna be talking about investment portfolios. If this is the first time you're checking this out, please do like and share, hit the subscription button, as well as the notification bell on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Kabaun Nameng, wishing you a lovely day. Have yourself a fantastic week ahead. See you guys next week, Wednesday. Let's get loaded.